The Football Trash Talk for Real Fans podcast is an unscripted and free-flowing conversation that may touch on mature subjects. While the opinions are real, the research probably isn't, and we can't help that Atticus will probably talk about the Knicks.
And here we go.
He trucked dudes. It wasn't just in a preseason game. He did it pretty consistently. He left dudes saying, "What happened?"
You better put some respect on his name when we're talking about the champion, the Davion Clowney.
And I'm just going on eye test here, right? Like, I like the look of this coaching staff, you know?
All right, enough of this. Let's see what kind of shit we get into today. Loy, it's all yours.
How you doing this morning, Chris?
You know, I'm doing well. I'm coming at you live from Jacksonville at the beach. Right off to my side here, I can see the waves. I'm going to be down there soon, scaring people off the shoreline. But,
so you're wearing your Browns jersey? Is that what you're saying?
No, they'd be flocking too. That's how I get the ladies, Lloyd. That's how I get the ladies. Right. They're like, that's a winner. Right. That Odell Beckham jersey just gets them flocking.
Oh, yeah.
I know you wear Eagles jersey, so you don't know how it works. But it's okay. It's all right. You put on that Eagles jersey and suddenly people want to eat horse poop around you for some reason. It's real weird. Real weird.
Either that or lick your asshole. One of the two. We might need to cut that out. That was a little extra. So let's talk about Thursday night, man. Like, exciting game to kick off the NFL season. I almost don't hate Dallas anymore, right? Like, it's a weird thing for me to say. I absolutely hate the Giants more, right? But, like, Dallas tried so hard, and they just couldn't get it done. You left too much time on the clock at the end of the game for Tom Brady, you know, which brings me to my point that I wanted to discuss with the game, because I think our analysis of the game going into it was pretty spot on, and kudos to us. I don't expect that to happen for the rest of the year, but it'd be pretty cool if it did. You know, we weren't that far off from the score. We took Dallas in the over, you know, so I feel pretty good. But there was a conversation because I posted Mike McCarthy sucks ass as a coach, right? And I put it on the post. You know, you got one of the best backs in the league. You don't run the ball. Like, what's the game plan? And, you know, a couple people chimed in, one pro, one con. We'll leave them nameless. One agreed with me, terrible game plan. Like, you just don't do that. The other said, well, you can't run against that front seven, so you're going to pass the ball. That's what you're going to do. And then Tom Brady passed the ball. You know, they only ran it 11 times, you know. Well, they don't have one of the best backs in the league. They don't have Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, so I guess the question now is we've seen a trend with Zeke, right? Is Ezekiel Elliott one of the best running backs in the league anymore?
I don't think we know.
First two seasons, sure. Last two in a game now. I don't even know if I consider him top 10, to be completely honest.
So I was looking at his stats and you know, so the years that he was playing well, he was averaging 300 plus yards a carry. Last year he had like 244. Right? The year he got hurt, he had around 250. You know, so that dip in production obviously affected him. For whatever reason, they've moved to a passing game and not a running game. But Dallas was 13-3 because they were able to control the clock. So I don't, you know, and Zeke's one of those runners, like he needs to be fed. Like, it was a big joke. There's a few memes, you know, there was a commercial. Like, he needs to be fed. Giving him the ball 14 times a game to run, not going to get it done. He needs it 20 plus. I believe there's a stat out there that if he carries the ball 21 times plus, they win. End of story. So, and like, I don't know what they're doing. Are they moving away from him? You know, he's not that old. I just don't know. I don't have an answer because, like, he had a couple decent pops in the game, right? Like, he got stuffed a couple times. He had a couple decent pops. So, like, if you law of averages, he's going to break one at some point in time if you keep giving him the ball. So I don't understand why they don't give him the ball.
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing, because as far as I know, their line is still good, right? Like, it's not like he's running behind a crappy line. It's just been really interesting, but there's been a definite, like, a noticeable, like, even if for someone who's like not, I feel like it's the type of, like, production curtail that, like, people who aren't even like super into football, that they'd start a little podcast like we did that no one listens to.
Yeah.
I feel like the average NFL fan can realize that Zeke is not as good for the last 2 years. And maybe it's still something from that injury. Maybe it's an attitude change. I don't know. But it's weird to me. Like, I'll admit it, in fantasy football, you couldn't pay me to draft him in the first round. Now, if he's there in the right. If he happened to be there in the third, fourth round, maybe. But I think that speaks to it too. Like, you couldn't pay me to draft Ezekiel Elliott in the first round, which is where he goes. So there's this definite gap, I guess, between perception and reality, maybe a little bit. But he and that's the thing, that, like, the Cowboys can't be a purely passing team because they don't have the defense that can keep other people out of the end zone. So you can't be scoring in a minute, like we saw last night. You give, and it's not just Tom Brady. Tom Brady's great, but you give Matt Stafford a minute and a half. You give, I'll say it, Ben Roethlisberger, probably up until the last 2 years, a minute and a half. Most quarterbacks in the league, you give a minute and a half. They're going to be able to drive into field goal range. Yeah. That's not like really that difficult. But at the same time, when you don't have a reliable running game, you can't control that. You got to take the points and the whatever when you can. Oh, wait, what's that? Greg Zerline just missed another one, by the way. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think I was pretty impressed with how, if we were betting on that game, we would have won. The only thing we were really wrong on, it's at the end of the day, if I'm going to get something wrong, it's just how close the game was throughout the game. Like, that's the only thing we were really wrong on. But everything else, Tom Brady had his way, Gronk had his way. Like, we were right about every facet of the game, except we didn't think the Dallas Cowboys would hang with them as well as they did.
A.B. Brown might be the MVP of fantasy football if we're going to guess off one game.
Yeah, not in our league, but in the other league that I'm in. I had Mike Evans, who I think had like 3 catches. And then the other guy had Antonio Brown as his flex. And yeah, I stopped watching the stats at one point because his Antonio Brown was like 4 for 5 for 120 yards and like 2 touchdowns or 1 touch. Well, I forget what it was, but I was like, this is stupid, Antonio. He's like the one guy in the NFL, like, I could never draft onto my fantasy team. I can't do it. You could. Zeke Elliott and Antonio Brown are the 2 guys I'll never draft.
I wanted Antonio Brown, right? But like, where I was at in the draft was just not conducive to get him. Like, there was better players.
He'd either have to fall,
and like he's gonna go between my next pick. It's gonna happen.
It's just weird to me because his situation, he's year to year in Tampa Bay. But at the same time, I think I heard a stat that since he's been on Tampa Bay full time, like 25% of the pass plays Tom Brady has thrown to him. Yeah. Like, that's like, out of all the weapons they have Gronk, Evans, Goodwin. Like, they have Rojo's not bad receiving the ball out of the backfield. 25% of the passes are going to Antonio Brown since he joined the team full time last year.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. And that's one of those stats I wish I would have paid attention to heading into my fantasy drafts.
Yeah. All right.
That being said, I think that puts a nice little bow tie there on the Thursday night game. Cowboys suck. So I got it. So what I'd like to do is kind of a little bit of a lightning round here. We're just going to kind of preview. I think we've kind of settled on like 5 separate games we're going to kind of talk about.
Yep.
Do a little mini thing. So the first one I'm going to start with is Steelers at Bills. Now the Bills are getting 6.5, or I'm sorry, they are giving 6.5 at home. And this is what I'm looking. Oh, the over under is 48 points. Ooh. So what do you think on that? That's
So
I
the
feel like
line is the Vegas line is absolutely a Buffalo line. So Buffalo's winning this game, right?
Yeah.
That they're, they should cover, right? But ultimately Buffalo's going to win the game. I just don't think the Steelers made enough on defense to make up. And didn't they lose some cornerbacks?
They lost some cornerbacks. They lost Bud Dupree. And on the other side of the ball, their offensive line isn't as good as it was last year.
Yeah.
And Buffalo's defense isn't a joke.
No.
It's really close. 6.5. I'll say the Bills win by 5. So I'll take Steelers cover. The 48 points is hard. That's a really
Very
good.
hard. If
really
I'm
good
betting,
spot.
I'm staying away from this game. Honestly, I'm just not. I'm not even playing this game because, so could I see a 30-21 game? That's 51 points. Absolutely, I can see 30-21. Can I see
even
27-17? Yeah, but that's 44. So now I'm not covering in one version, but I'm covering in the other. So I'm just staying away from this game. Could I see a 17-14 game?
No, I feel good with like a 21-26. So that would be under. That would be 47. So I would take the under on the points, but the Steelers to cover because I think they'll be within 6.5. But I think they'll lose by about 5 or so.
Right.
So I feel like that's a good thing. The only question marks I think I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say Diggs has a injury of some kind. Not like I think he'll play, but I don't think he's going to be at 100%.
Okay.
So that's going to be something to watch. But then again, I couldn't even tell you who the Steelers have out guarding receivers. So
let's see. It doesn't give them. Let's see, injuries. Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a linebacker questionable. They have tackle out, offensive tackle. They got a bunch of people. So they have a bunch of people they put on injury reserve. Nobody significant, unless you think Joshua Dobbs is significant.
yeah. I still just don't see. I don't see the. I think this game will be close for a while, but I think the Pittsburgh. I will give Pittsburgh this. They are a prideful team, so I see it being close for a while, but I see the Bills just being a little too much and pulling away at the end, and like I said, just winning by 5. And it's gonna take the under on points, but Steelers will cover.
So under and Pittsburgh in the under. That's the bet.
Yeah, Pittsburgh to cover. Bills ultimately win, obviously.
I'll ride with that.
I see, like I said, I see like a 17-23, a 21-26, somewhere in that. That's kind of what I see.
Well, so I see 3 touchdowns and a field goal for Buffalo, right? So that's 24. Let's go 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. We're at 27. So you're saying they're going to be close to 5. So that's 23, right? That's 50.
It would be 22. That's 49. I don't know. I think
close.
I still take the under. I don't see either team scoring in the high 20s. That's what it comes down to.
All right.
I think JJ
I see Buffalo scoring in the high 20s, right? But Josh Allen is a bigger, stronger, faster version of Ben Roethlisberger.
A younger version, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
He's Ben 2.0 that can run better. So, his running ability is going to keep them in drives, right?
So
unless TJ Watt earns all his money on day one.
Right now, do you think so I think it's safe to say Ben Roethlisberger's career is pretty much like, we're in the twilight of it. I'd be surprised if he played again next year. So knowing what we know about Ben Roethlisberger's career, do you think Josh Allen goes on to have a better career?
That's
barring
a
major
lot.
injury.
That's who?
That's 2 Super Bowls.
No. There's too many variables for him to get 2 Super Bowls.
I think
And
as long as
and Ben he's thrown for a shit ton of yards. So Allen might make up for the yards by running, but he's not going to get the Super Bowls.
see, it's interesting because in the AFC East right now, you definitely see the Bills as the cream of the crop, but the Patriots, they're always going to loom large in that division for a while anyway. They're kind of in a hybrid rebuild right now, but they're still going to loom large. The Dolphins aren't a pushover, so that I could see the Dolphins playing the Ravens in that division, as in the Steelers had to deal with the Ravens for all those years. I could see that. But we'll see. I mean, that's going to be what it is. But as of right now, they're the cream of the crop in the East, which gets them into the playoffs. And when you're in the playoffs, but then they also have to get past the Chiefs, at least for the next few years until Mahomes' salary starts having the Chiefs make tough choices.
So you got in your division, you have New England to contend with. Miami's still a question mark, depending on what Tua can do. And, the Jets are an anomaly, right? Like they've completely revamped and done non-Jet-like things going into this season, right? Like they got, a good quarterback they got a question mark quarterback. They got a young coach that everybody seems to love. He was the bougie pick for everybody, wanted them as his coach, right? So we'll see what the Jets do in the next 2 or 3 years. Like that division can get very difficult, right?
Right.
But if you make it in the playoffs, just like you said, not only the Chiefs, not only you got Cleveland, right? For the next few years, you're going to have to deal with. Baltimore is no slouch. You got a lot of competition to get to the Super Bowl. Tennessee.
I definitely think the AFC is tougher right now than the NFC. That's Like I feel like every division in the NFC has a legitimate. Well, no, the AFC South I don't see as I don't really see anyone in the AFC South as a major contender. But every other division has at least 1 or 2 teams that you could see making a serious Super Bowl push. Yeah. So, and yes, I'm including the Browns in that. So we're going to move on to the next game. Just going to let that hang in the air for everyone. We'll go to the game that I'm actually live in Jacksonville to cover, and that's going to be technically it's the Green Bay Packers at the Saints. A little bit of bad blood heading into this one, as it leaked that the Saints picked Jacksonville because it would make it harder for Packers fans to get here. So, so that's a thing. But so that game has actually the Saints. So the Saints are the underdog. It's favoring the Packers by 3.5, 49.5 points on the under/over. I'm going to take the Packers. I think the Packers are going to beat the spread. I see the Packers winning by more than 3.5. Just because there's too many question marks on the Saints right now. They don't have Drew Brees anymore. They have Jameis Winston, but last time we saw Jameis Winston, he was throwing to the other team as much as he was throwing to his. They don't have Michael Thomas. I couldn't name a receiver on the Saints right now if you paid me to. There are 4 things. I was talking about this with Lisa last night. There are 4 things I could tell you about the Saints. 1, Sean Payton is their head coach. 2, Michael Thomas is injured. 3, Jameis Winston's their quarterback. And 4, Drew Brees retired last year. That's about all I know about the Saints. Packers have all their weapons, and this just has to feel one of those games because of the way the offseason went that Aaron Rodgers is just going to be in screw everyone, pissed off. I'm going to throw for 15 touchdowns mode. So I see the Packers covering, and I'm going to go over on points as well.
So I'm going to agree with you on Packers outright, without a doubt, in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my cat. That's been outside for 12 hours. But now, and sorry, squirrel. Anyway, So interesting things I'm looking for in this game is Jameis Winston. What can he do? Like, he was synonymous with throwing interceptions. Will that trend continue? You're right. They don't have their number one wide receiver. But aside from that one phenomenal year, like, is he a top 10 wide receiver anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he's paid
You
like
know?
he is, but
So it's really weird what's going to happen there. They have Alvin Kamara, and we don't really know who their Marquez Callaway might be the cream of the crop from a wide receiver standpoint. So I wanted to look into Jameis Winston a little bit because, you know, he historically played. I used to be an FSU fan until I went to Penn State, right? And then now obviously I'm a Penn State fan. But so like I liked him at FSU. And he never played with his contacts because it got in the way. And so that carried over to the NFL where the game's a lot faster. And, you know, he was throwing balls that, you know, playing in the ACC, it's a good ball. It's a good thrown ball. Playing, you know, in the NFL, DBs can catch up real quick. So
right.
now that he had LASIK surgery, I don't think he's really started any games since he had the surgery. He's kind of been a backup. So it'll be interesting to see if his eyesight improvement has any effect on how he plays. So looking forward to that. Still think Green Bay wins. And did you say under or over?
I said over on points.
Yeah, I think over. I think we're going to see a passing game there too.
I mean, I think I feel pretty secure in saying something like 35-24, and that's over 50 points right there. So
yeah, I think Aaron is good for 4 touchdowns.
yeah, I mean, I see the Packers scoring at least. I mean, yeah. I mean, you 4 touchdowns plus a couple field goals, that puts you in the mid 30s. I don't see a way the Packers score less than 30 points in this game. So yeah, Packers to cover and the over. I'll even say Packers win by going away by like at least a touchdown.
Dude, Jameis threw for 5,100 yards his last season in Tampa Bay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, he threw for a lot of yards, but he had like wasn't it like he had almost as many interceptions as touchdowns or something?
He had 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, there were jokes when he got signed by the Saints that like their players were joking like, "Hey, you can't throw me the ball anymore." Like, so yeah, I mean, you know, I think the Saints this year will be able to put up points. I just don't until I see otherwise. Jameis doesn't make me believe that the putting up a lot. It's not going to be enough to put up points. They're going to have to they're going to have to just limit those turnovers. And until we see that he can do that, I'm not going to be too high on the Saints. They just have a weird feel. I mean, you know, they lost an all-time great quarterback. It's just you don't just do that. I don't care what team you are. You just don't lose one of the best quarterbacks ever and then turn around the next year and just be fine. So I'm actually kind of surprised at that under over. That seems real low to me. But anyway, so the next game I want to talk about, we're going to skip over to just in honor of Atticus. We're going to do Broncos at Giants. Broncos are giving 3 and 41.5 is the over under.
So historically, Vegas is home team gets 3 off the bat. So now that it's swung to 3,
yeah,
they're saying it's almost like the Broncos are getting 6. You know, but it's even money. So I like the Broncos, to be honest.
Me too.
I really do.
I think Bridgewater, honestly, between Bridgewater and Dimes, I think Bridgewater's the better quarterback. I'll say it. I'm not saying these are like this is gonna be the QB duel of the century. I'm just saying I think between those two and honestly, There's less injury concern on the Broncos right now. I just think they have better overall weapons. Although they do, and we don't know what's happening with Saquon. Like, he's coming back from another injury. So we'll see. Their line, Atticus has been on here talking about their line having troubles. So we'll see.
So I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater has ever had a Cortland Sutton and a Jerry Jeudy in the same receiving core, right? Like, I don't.
Noah Fan,
and Noah Fant and
either, yeah.
Melvin Gordon, who was a forgotten soul.
Right.
Javonte Williams, the rookie. Like, they got some weapons for him, and I think I would agree that he is more accurate. Like, I don't have the stats in front of me to what happened last year, but like, I like Teddy, and I like the Broncos in this game. The only thing is the line, right? What is it, 41.5? That's low. It's a low-scoring ball game. The only saving grace to that line is the Giants' defense can play some ball.
Right. I mean, that's each team scoring less than 3 touchdowns. I mean, that basically puts this game into like, a 17-10 type situation or 17-14 to hit that under, right? Because the second both teams get into the 20s, that line's gone. And
so I'm taking the over.
Yeah, take the over. Broncos to win, and I think they cover too. I just think there's going to be another 5-point game, I think. Broncos over the Giants at home. I see something like 21-20. 21-24 seems to stick out in my head. And that would be a push. I'll say 21-26 just to give them the over. But I see them winning by more than a field goal, basically is what I'm trying to say. So
I'll take it.
All right. So next, let me find the Eagles game here. We'll cut over to the Eagles. Who are you guys playing?
Atlanta.
That's right. There it is. Eagles at Falcons. Falcons are giving 3.5, 48.5 on the under over. So here's my take on this. This game for me has, like, if you have Jalen Hurts on your football team, on your fantasy football team, you start him this week. I think this is going to be a Jalen Hurts coming out game. We're going to be talking about Jalen Hurts all next week because of what he does in this game. Because it's just got one of those relatively, not a lot of film on him yet. He's a good runner, surprisingly accurate. He's got a couple weapons. He's got his boy from his college days, whose name I can't think of right now, but I saw him in the game against Ohio State last year, and they could have had their whole defense on him, and he still somehow would have gotten open. I think the Eagles win this one. So obviously, Eagles win, and because the Falcons don't have a defense either. So like, that's the other thing. The Falcons don't have a defense. They don't have Julio Jones anymore. I don't know. Like, I'm not as hot on Calvin Ridley as a lot of other people seem to be. Matty Ice is another year older. I do think Matt Davis and Kyle Pitts are going to be nice additions to that offense, but I think I'm going to take the over in points too, because this game's got shootout written on it to me. I don't think the Eagles defense is a pushover, but I think the Falcons have enough offensive firepower to make it interesting. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win, and I'm going to take over on the points. I see like a 35-30 game.
So, not to be a homer, right? But historically, Philly versus Atlanta, the Achilles heel has been Julio Jones, without a doubt. Julio Jones has killed the Eagles. He's made incredible plays when they need it, long distance plays, and I couldn't stand him. I just knew it was going to happen. He's gone, right? Like, that's not there anymore. So I give a nod to the Eagles here, right? I think the Eagles are better than people give them credit for. If their receivers can catch the ball, like their receiving lineup is Smith and then Jalen Rager and then Quez Watkins, right? Quez Watkins had a coming out party in the preseason and people understood he was super fast, right? So they have a lot of burners. And Jalen can throw the ball deep. So I think Philly comes out and wins this game, man. I just do.
I do. I agree 100%. I don't think it's not a homer pick if it's the truth. So I just see Jalen Hurts going wild in this game.
And we didn't even mention Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I didn't even mention Miles Sanders and
or Dallas Goedert or Zach Ertz.
I know he's like the third string running back on the team, but I'm still high on Gainwell. I really liked Gainwell. I wanted him to be a Brown. I think I see Hurts throwing for 2-3 touchdowns, running for another one. Like I said, take the over on the points, take the Eagles to win outright. 30. I see like a 35-30 game somewhere, and there's going to be one of the higher scoring games of the weekend.
I'll take it.
All right, so finally, game of the week, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Browns fan, but I think this is one of the better matchups of the weekend. In a repeat of the divisional round, we have Browns at Chiefs. So let me pull it up on my phone here. Can't where to go. I need to pull up each set of over. There it is. So we have, really? So the Chiefs are favored by 5.5. Over under is 54.5.
I'm going to take the Browns and the over. Right? I think this is a field goal game. I think this game is very similar to Thursday night. If I go by Vegas betting, right? Like 5.5 minus 3 is 2.5 because you get the 3 as the home team. That's a field goal, right? Like, so I see a 35-31, 37-34, something along those lines. I see a high scoring game. I don't know if the Browns defense is improved enough to stay. There's still some question marks there, right? Like they made a lot of changes, but it's still the Chiefs and it's still Patrick Mahomes and it's still Tyreek Hill and it's still Travis Kelce, right? So there's a lot of question marks that you have on a defense that you're going to find out right away, right? Like, I don't like talking about moral victories, but like if you ever want to gauge where your defensive additions are and see how well you improved, going to go against the Chiefs in week 1 is pretty good game. And I'll agree with you. To me, it's probably the game of the week, right? Should be the game of the week.
Should be. Now, I'm going to agree with just about everything you said. However, I'm going to take a slightly different approach. So I do think the Browns win. A little bit of a homer pick, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to take the under, and here's why. The way the Browns win this game is by running the football and keeping that clock rolling and keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field. If we get into 50 points, 60-point games, we're going to lose that game because I'll tell you right now, Patrick Mahomes, hands down better than Baker Mayfield. And although I like our receiving corps, I think we have one of the best all-around receiving corps in the league. We don't have a Tyreek Hill. We don't have a Travis Kelce, like you just said. And I think if it gets to a point where we're looking at, 34, 37, I think the Browns come on the wrong side of that. So in order for the Browns to win, I think it's going to, and what people forget is the divisional round game where our defense, which I get is a question mark. We have a lot of new pieces on it, but our defense was, I think most people would agree, worse last year. And that was a 17-14 game or something like that. Like it was low scoring. Now I know everything tightens up in the playoffs, but I just think this has, going in, we have the type of offense that's going to travel well because it's a run-based offense. and that's the way we're going to win this game. So if the Browns win, it's going to be something like 24, 27, 21, 24, somewhere in there. So Browns win outright, but I have to take the under because that's the only way I see the Browns winning. I think if we get into a shootout, Baker Mayfield is not going to beat Patrick Mahomes in a shootout. That's not going to happen. I love you, Baker, but I'm trying to be real about this.
As you have to be.
I have to be. In order to bring respectability to this podcast. But yeah, I think Browns upset of the week. Go into Kansas City, get the W. But yeah, it's got to be under on points because if it gets into if it goes over 54.5 points, that just favors the Chiefs. Now my question for you mentioned moral victories. If the Browns do lose this game, but keep it close, like they lose by a field, like we'll take your instance. You said 37-34.
Right.
If that's the score and the Chiefs win, can you hang your hat on that as Browns? I mean, how hard do you come down on me next week about the Browns losing if that's the final outcome?
I mean, it's like I wouldn't. So I'll use the Thursday night game as an example, right? Like, as a trash talk fan, I'm not really talking that much trash. I did post moral victories though, because Cowboy fans were hanging their hat on it, right? As they should have, though, right? Like you went against the Super Bowl champs and Tom Brady, and just came up a little bit short, right? I think it was their game plan, and I think it's not the last time we're going to see Dallas do that, right? I think Cleveland has a better coach, and you could, if they come out of that with the L. And it's a tight ball game. It's still, against who is the preseason favorite to go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't like moral victories, but like it's something to build on, right?
Right.
Should give you a good blueprint on how to fix things. And if you're ever going to have a game like that, week 1, it's a great time to have that game, week 1.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like Clemson losing in week 1, right? Clemson loses to Georgia. They're gonna walk through the rest of their schedule, and they're gonna be in the top 4. They're gonna be in the playoffs. It's gonna happen, right?
Right. I'm gonna steal a phrase of yours, and I just think the Browns are playing for house money because any outcome to this game, short of the Browns just completely getting blown off the field, like losing by a couple touchdowns, anything short of that. The Browns are gonna no one's gonna like look down on the Browns for losing week 1 in Kansas City by a field goal. That's not gonna happen. Like I get we're in a trash talk group and people will still give me crap about it, but realistically speaking, if you're just looking at it as someone watching an NFL game, no one's gonna like come down hard on the Browns. So the Browns, to steal your phrase, are playing with house money in here, and I think the pressure is on the Chiefs. They're talking about going undefeated this year, and so I think that puts pressure on the Chiefs for a week 1 game. I think there's going to be a little abnormal, the projected, I think they're the odds on favorites, not just show up, but win the Super Bowl, right? They're talking about going 17-0. The Browns with the worst defense played you close last year. We have the offense to play you close. Yeah, I see the Browns winning this in an upset by a field goal or something like that. But like I said, the great thing about this game from a Cleveland Browns perspective is we're playing with house money. Like I said, we can lose this game as long as it's not a blowout. I don't think anyone's gonna think we're done for or same old Browns or something like that.
Well, I'm gonna be going on the record and say if they get blown out, I will rain hellfire down upon you. Just saying.
Yeah, the one thing that sucks about tomorrow is I'll be at the Saints-Packers game while it's going on. So I already told Liesel I reserve the right to check my cell phone, and if I'm hooting and hollering during a completely random time, if there's someone injured on the field and I am cheering, we're just gonna have to accept. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, right? I had an interesting conversation with somebody I know. Works for the company that I work for. He's from Philly, but not like an in-depth football fan, but would love to come on the podcast to bring a little bit of comic relief, right? Like he doesn't know certain stats, and we could just pick on him the entire time. I don't know. Could be a fun podcast. We'll see. But
Yeah,
I think moving forward, we need to get some guests in here, man.
I mean, this is, casting call.
Let's do it.
Just not even a casting call. Just freaking shoot me a line and tell me you want to be on this podcast.
That's it. Just get a hold of us.
We don't even care what your credentials are. Like, you don't even have to know what football is, as long as you're willing to come on and talk about it for a while.
And coming soon, our very own email and our very own YouTube channel. So more to come on that. Just kind of got to get it set and ready to go.
We're making moves, my friend.
I don't know. And,
So really
and
quick,
merch.
And merch. We got it all. We are a full-fledged program that just has 12 listeners, but we're getting there. Sooner or later, we're going to take off and people are going to say, remember when. So really quick, I'm just going to recap. So we had the Bills over the Steelers. We're taking the over 48 and we're taking Steelers to cover. We have Packers winning outright. Let me see, because I think I should have wrote this down. It would have made this easier. One of these days, I'll learn how to keep this more organized. So, yeah, we have the Packers covering, and we're taking the over. We think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a Aaron type of game. We're taking the over and the Eagles to win outright at the Falcons. We're taking the over and the Broncos to win outright at the Giants. And we are taking the Browns, both are taking the Browns to win. You have over 54.5. I have under 54.5. But Browns over Chiefs.
Love it.
Love it. Write it down. Take it to Vegas. That one's free on us. And first full day of football, man. I'm excited.
All right. Have fun at the game. Enjoy. Make sure your girl's got a cheese hat on.
Yeah, she brought it. So
nice.
Over there. So look for me on TV, man. I'll catch you later.
Later.